Bridges 6.5, dividing polynomials and synthetic division. So what we're going to do is, instead of doing the division like we've been doing in the previous couple sections, we're just going to be taking polynomials, which would be like either the numerator or the denominator in the rational expressions, and trying to divide them and simplify them and see what happens. This is a college algebra topic for sure, and so it's one that's useful for us to understand. Now, let's start off with, what if we had a polynomial divided by a monomial? For instance, you've got this 12x squared minus 20x plus 8 divided by 4x. So since that's just 4x there, this single term, that's why it's called a monomial. So in order to handle something like that, what we can do is we can split this up and divide each individual term by that monomial. So I've got 12x squared divided by 4x minus 20x divided by 4x plus 8 divided by 4x. So notice that 4 goes into 12 3 times, and this x kills off one of those, and so for that piece I've got 3x. Notice here the x's will cancel, and 20 divided by 4 is 5, so this would be minus 5. And then notice here that 4 goes into 8 twice, that would become a 1. And so I would have plus 2 over x. So what we have, this piece right here is called the quotient. And then this piece over here is the remainder, because it's what's left over whenever you divide, and you can't simplify it without a denominator in it. So we've got a quotient, and we've got a remainder. Well, as we all know, it's not always that simple. So in order to go further, we need to recall how to do long division with just numbers. Some of you probably haven't done this without a calculator in years. But let's say I want to take 6,584 and divide it by 28. So I come over here, I put the 28 here, I got this little division symbol, and I've got 6,584 here. By the way, the 28 is known as the divisor, and the 6,584 is known as the dividend. It's the thing you're dividing into. So the first thing that you look at here is you take your divisor, 28, and you say, okay, how many times does 28 go into 6? Well, 28 doesn't go into 6. So at this point, you go and grab a little bit more. So you say, okay, how many times does 28 go into 65? The answer to that would be 2. So somewhere off in the scratch here, you go 28 times 2, which is 56. So I put a 2 here, and then I'll put a 56 here. We subtract, that puts 9. And then, since 28 doesn't go into 9, we go ahead and bring down this 8. Some people like to draw the arrow there. Some people don't. I don't care whether you put it there or not. So then I ask, okay, how many times does 28 go into 98? And the answer is 3 times, or thrice, if you will. So 28 times 3 is 84. So I put the 84 here. We subtract. Oh, and the 3 goes there. And then this becomes 14. Bring down this 4. And how many times does 28 go into 144? That would be 5 times. And so if we scroll here a little bit, 28 times 5 is 140. So I put 140 here, subtract, and I get 4. And 28 does not go into 4, and I'm out of dividend, if you will. A lot of times teachers will teach you to put a decimal point and keep going, but that's not what I'm after. I can make a mixed number out of this. So what I can do is I can take that 4 and I can say, okay, this is 4 over 28, make it into a fraction. Okay? And 4 over 28, of course, reduces to 1/7. So the answer to this question is 235 and 1/7. So that remainder helps you come up with that fraction part at the very end. So now let's understand the connection between what we just did and division of polynomials, because it's the same sort of procedure. So let's say I've got x squared plus 2x plus 4, and I want to divide that by x minus 1. So I'm going to go ahead, put my x squared plus 2x plus 4 there, x minus 1 there. And now here's the key. We're going to be looking at the biggest term of the divisor. And we're always going to use that and the biggest term of what's left in the dividend. Okay? And so I look at that x and I say to myself, self, what would I have to multiply that x by to get x squared? And the answer, of course, is x. I'm going to line that up with the x term in this column so that the like terms match up. See how that's got an x to the first, and the thing below it's got an x to the first? I want to make sure that lines up. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that x, I'm going to distribute it to x minus 1. Kind of like how I did the 28 times whatever. So anyway, that becomes x squared minus x. So that x squared minus x I'm going to put under here. And technically I'm going to have to subtract. But instead of subtracting, because that tends to lead to sign mistakes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the signs on both of these. So this one's going to become a minus. This one's going to become a plus. You may want to make yourself a note in these notes about that. You know, say that we're going to change signs and add. That way you can tell what you're doing later on. So anyway, x squared minus x squared, that cancels out. If you do this right, it should always cancel out. And then 2x plus x is 3x, and then you bring down your 4, so that's 3x plus 4. And then I repeat the same process. I look at this x that I kind of drew the dotted circle around over here, and I say, okay, what do I have to multiply this x by to get 3x? So I look at this piece right here, and I look at this piece right here, and I say, okay, what do I have to multiply x by to get 3x? And the answer is 3, so I put a plus 3 here. And then I'm going to distribute the 3 to the x minus 1, which would be 3x minus 3. So then I'm going to put 3x minus 3 here, change the signs, add, and we get 7. Now I can tell when to stop because x doesn't go into 7 at all. So that 7 is my remainder. So that's going to come up here, and I'm going to do plus 7 over x minus 1. X minus 1 because that's my divisor. That's what I'm dividing by. So this is my answer to the question right here. X plus 3 plus 7 over x minus 1. Okay. Let's try another one. So let's say I want to divide negative 13x cubed plus 10x to the 4th plus 8x minus 7x squared plus 4 by 3 minus 2x. Well, I hope you've noticed that that's kind of in a funky order. So as a result, what I want to do is I want to kind of rewrite it in a decent order. So when I write this out, notice that this is 10x to the 4th minus 13x cubed. Whoops, not plus, minus. Get your head together, Bob. So that, and that. We're going to divide by negative 2x plus 3, because that 3 minus 2x and negative 2x plus 3 are the same thing. The 3 is positive, the 2x is negative. And you want to keep it that way. All right. So once again, once again, I'm going to come here and I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at this piece right here. And I'm going to look at this piece right here. I'm going to say, okay, what do I have to multiply negative 2x by to get 10x to the fourth? Well, negative 2 times negative 5 would be 10, and x times x cubed would be x to the fourth. So I'm going to put negative 5 x cubed here. And then somewhere off to the side, I'm going to put negative 5x cubed times negative 2x plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. So let's see, that would be 10x to the fourth, and then minus 15x cubed. I'm going to need to subtract, so I'm going to change the signs and add. Notice this is going to give me 2x cubed minus 7x squared. And I can bring the whole thing down if I want, or I can just bring down the next piece that I need. It really doesn't matter. So I bring down that next piece. And once again, I take a look at that guy right there and that guy right there. And I say, okay, what do I have to multiply negative 2x by to get 2x cubed? The answer would be negative x squared. So somewhere off to the side, I'm going to have negative x squared times negative 2x plus 3. That's going to give me positive 2x cubed minus 3x squared. Change the signs, add. First part cancels out. You get negative 4x squared. Bring the next piece down, plus 8x. Again, I look at this and I say, okay, what do I have to multiply negative 2x by to get negative 4x squared? And that would be 2x. This would be plus 2x. 2x times negative 2x plus 3 would give me negative 4x squared plus 6x. Change the signs, that becomes plus, that becomes minus. 4x squareds cancel, I get 2x. Oops, that's in the wrong color. Oh well. 2x, and then I bring the 4 down, plus 4. And then I look at this and I say, okay, what do I have to multiply negative 2x by to get positive 2x? And that would, of course, be negative 1. So then I put a negative 1 up here. I'm going to distribute a negative 1 to negative 2x plus 3 here. So that would be 2x minus 3. Change the signs. And that would give me 7. Whoa. 7. Okay. Of course, negative 2x doesn't go into 7, so that's my remainder. So I come all the way up here. Plus 7 over negative 2x plus 3. And that would be my answer right there. All right. Just about out of time in this video, so we're going to go ahead and make another one.